Welcome back. Today we're going to be making the sesame seed equivalent of these beautiful peanut cookies which I made in a previous video. This is a gorgeous, delectable, melt in your mouth, very Moorish. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do. As we go along, I'll share more recipes, more tips and more tricks with you on our journey flying solo. In today's cook, we're going to be using some simple ingredients like sesame oil, sesame seeds toasted, some tahini, or you can substitute that with Chinese sesame paste, plain flour, granulated sugar, some salt obviously for flavor, and 1 egg for egg wash. I've got about 200 grams of tahini here, and I'm working it because it is a non-Newtonian fluid, very much like corn flour slurry, and it changes its viscosity under pressure which you're applying by working it. Now once you get the viscosity that you want, you need to add about 180 to 185 grams of plain flour. But instead of adding it all at one go, I'm adding about 155, 160 grams first. And I will add another big spoonful a little bit later to adjust to the texture that I need to get. Now once you've weighed out the flour, before I add it into the paste, I add equivalent of about 3/4 teaspoon of fine salt. Now I'm using very coarse flaked salt, so I'm crushing it between my fingers before I add the flour. Right, so once you've added the flour, add about 50 milliliters of sesame oil. It has to be sesame oil. Get a good quality sesame oil because you really want that sesame flavor to pop in the final product. Because sesame oil, interestingly enough, is one of those that loses its kick when cooked, when exposed to heat. So you need a lot of good quality sesame oil. As I said earlier, I'm adding another spoonful of flour to get it to the texture that I want. Now, as a final stage, I will add about 2 large tablespoons of granulated sugar. You could measure it out, and depending on your palate, you could add a little bit more if you prefer a sweeter cookie, or a little bit less if you prefer a more savory one. So at this stage, I'll give it a good mix, and we'll come back and start to mold this into cookie dough balls. Now, putting the dough aside for a moment, we're going to prepare the egg wash. Start by separating 1 egg white from 1 egg yolk. Put the egg white aside. You can use that to make a cocktail later on, and I might even have a recipe for that in a separate video. Now add a tablespoon of water to the egg yolk, and you can then whisk to combine. Now I put a little layer of sesame seeds onto this bread-shaped saucer, and I'm going to use that as a dipping tray. Now on my parchment paper lined scale, I'm weighing out balls of about 14 to 15 grams each, and I'll dunk that to get a top layer of sesame seeds stuck to my little cookie. Now put them on the lined baking tray and squish them down just a little bit to get that typical traditional cookie shape. Now repeat that process, evenly spacing the cookie dough out on the baking tray because they will expand just a little bit as they bake. I preheated the oven to 160 degrees Celsius. I'm going to put them right at the top, and it's about 15 minutes, and we'll come back when 15 minutes is done. When they're done, take them out and let them cool for about 20 minutes. Now they've cooled down and I'm tasting them now. They are absolutely delightful. My goodness. Absolutely delicious. Salty and not as sweet as some other cookies. In fact, this is just the right amount of sweetness that I prefer. So I hope you make these cookies, and I hope you enjoy them, because I sure did making this video for you.